Kyle Larson wins, or at least makes fewer mistakes than the other guys. Let's talk about it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, Kyle Larson wins his first race at Martinsville. This is the second short track race he has won this season, both in the state of Virginia. So Kyle Larson has basically owned the state of Virginia so far, and 2 short track wins in about, 3 or 4 weeks there. So he has had a really hot run as of late, but this one a little bit different than a normal Kyle Larson win. Normally when you see Kyle Larson wins, it's a race he dominates, he wins multiple stages, things like this. This race, he just had a really clean race. He didn't make any mistakes on pit road. He ran up front all day, was top 10 just about all day, and he had the right pit strategy. He didn't get caught up when the final caution came out and things like that. So he just had a really clean race, as opposed to some other guys who had fast cars who did not have a clean race and basically sort of gifted this to him. All of them, for the most part, being from Stewart-Haas, and then one from JGR, being Denny Hamlin. But Kevin Harvick, problems on pit road, had to stop multiple times on multiple occasions, so he sort of gave the race away there. It was looking like it was going to be really cool. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be at a race that Kevin Harvick wins in his final season. It was sort of shaping up like that. Then his teammate Chase Briscoe, same thing, has problems on pit row, and that takes him out of the race. And then, of course, early on in the race, Ryan Preece dominated the entire first stage, but got caught speeding on pit row and never, ever was able to recover from that. Actually got into a tiff with Ross Chastain that boiled over from the end of stage 1, and I'll touch on that just a little bit later, but I don't think that was shown on TV according to what I tweeted out. But like I said, those guys basically gave the race away, and Denny Hamlin staying out late on older tires sort of gave the race away too, because if he had got new tires, he probably would have had a better chance, but then he complained about not being able to pass, and we're also fixing to touch on that right there. So aside from the exciting finish and Kyle Larson and Joey Logano putting on that really good race for the lead at the very end, what's mostly going to be remembered about this race is there was not a ton of passing, at least not shown on TV. I might make a separate video on that, but I might touch on it here in just a second. But basically what's going to be remembered is there was no tire fall off. That was one of the reasons we didn't have passing. The tire fall off took so long to happen that it was negligible whether you needed new tires or not, as you saw when Ross Chastain stayed out that one time and was able to maintain track position, or at least get decent track position on really old tires. So the tires took too long to fall off. That was one problem with the passing. The other problem with the passing is the shifter. And with the tires, you can come back with a softer compound. You can fix that. The problem with the shifter, being able to shift, it takes away the disadvantage of missing a corner. Martinsville used to be a momentum track. Now it's not a momentum track because you have that extra gear. So if you miss the corner, you can just shift, and you haven't lost as much time as you would have back in the day. So that, too, has sort of taken away from this event. I don't know what you necessarily do about that. I don't see NASCAR having multiple transmissions for different tracks, or whatever, the gearbox now, I guess, because of the the transaxle or whatever. So I don't know what NASCAR does about that. I don't really have a great solution for that, because it's just going to be expensive either way. And the other one that needs to be looked at, of course, was the coverage by Fox. So the coverage by Fox is also something I would like to point out here. Although there were times in this race where it got stretched out and there was not a lot of action happening on the track, there was definitely more action happening on the track than what Fox showed. I've already alluded to the Ryan Preece, Ross Chastain thing. Ross Chastain stayed on the lead lap at the end of stage 1, and that irritated Ryan Preece. Then when Ryan Preece got the speeding penalty or whatever and was back in traffic, eventually him and Ross Chastain sort of met in the middle, and Ross Chastain was holding him up again. This time I'm going to say it was not Ross Chastain's fault for once, because he was doing his best Ryan Newman impression, and Ryan Preece just absolutely drove him like an ass. I can't sugarcoat it. Ryan Preece just rammed the crap out of him because Ross Chastain was driving essentially like Ryan Newman, trying to hold his position, and it got pretty ugly. And I think Ross Chastain had something to say to him after the race, if what I'm hearing is correct. So, well, once again, there was other races in the back of the pack too. There was a great race between Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, and Joey Logano at one point. They never showed that. It got super aggressive. It was really great. So Fox needs to have a camera that just shows the best battle on the track. They need to have one camera guy that is focused on the best battle on the track, because it would give better coverage to the entire event. And it kind of makes me wonder if Fox isn't sort of making the coverage worse than it has to be to renegotiate a better contract. I'm not saying they are, I'm just saying it's a fair question to ask. All right, now on to good race, bad race. Good race, of course, for Kyle Larson. He had a nice, clean race there. Joey Logano steals a nice second-place finish after being in the back of the field most of the time. Martin Truex Jr. at one point was a lap or two down. He recovers and gets that third-place finish. Denny Hamlin is fourth. Chase Briscoe fifth. Eric Almirola sixth. Ryan Blaney seventh. He was also in the back most of the day. Ricky Stenhouse continues to have his really great season so far with an eighth-place finish. Bubba Wallace out of nowhere for ninth. Same thing with Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman at 10th and 11th. And Austin Dillon, once again, sneaks in there with 12th. Ross Chastain, 13th. Chris Buescher, 14th. And Ryan Preece, 15th. All right, now on to bad race. Bad race for Ryan Preece and all of SHR, because they had the fastest cars. They kind of gave this one away. It was also a bad race. That's actually the only driver I'm going to put in there. It was also a bad race for NASCAR, because once again, the fans are talking about no passing. They're also talking about the short track package. They're talking about the new car is a failure on short tracks. And actually the officiating, there was a tire up against the barrier for at least a lap and a half, almost 2 laps, and NASCAR missed it while a car was riding around with 3 wheels. So just bad all around weekend for NASCAR, no matter which way you look at it. And also, aforementioned, bad race for Fox, because they need to have one camera on the best battle on the field for when these lulls come. Now, granted, there were some lulls in this race, and there's nothing you can do but put filler in at that point, but there didn't need to be as much filler as they put in, you know, according to everybody that was watching it on Twitter, at least all the people I follow on Twitter that were watching on Twitter, they were watching it and commenting on Twitter, I should say. So, yeah, so bad race for Fox. All right, that is all I've got for you on this one. If you made it this far, feel free to subscribe down below. All your subscriptions mean a lot to this channel, and I really appreciate all of them. If you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate you guys as well. If you got a question, comment, or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace. I might have 1 or 2 more videos coming up, so stay tuned.